Welcome to today's episode of Real Talk. Today I am speaking about grief. All of us, no matter who we are or how much money we have all experienced some type of grief. And before we start, I would like to stop and take a moment and just send out healing energy to everyone who may be grieving at this moment, or know of someone who is going through something at the moment pertaining to grief. So let's stop and take a moment and say a prayer and send out some healing energy to everyone who is grieving, especially grieving a loss of someone that they love. Okay, thank you. When I decided to talk about grief, I did not realize that today marks the 50th anniversary that my mother transitioned. And so you have to kind of bear with me today. But anyway, it's been 50 years since my mother transitioned. Also, I see a little black mark on my screen, and I'm not sure what that was, but it was annoying. All right, so let's get back to grief. What is grief? What is the definition of grief? Grief is simply a loss of something. A loss of a loved one is really what I'm talking about today. And I have had a lot of experience in grief. Bear with me. Like I said, my mother transitioned 50 years ago. My father is deceased. My grandmother is deceased. My grandfather is deceased. My aunt, and I've lost 5 of my 6 brothers. I only have 1 brother left. So again, I know a lot about grief. When you find out that someone you love is dying, most of us go through 7 stages. There are 7 stages of grief. The first thing when you hear a diagnosis such as terminal cancer, you're in denial, or that person is in denial. And they'll go and say, well, I'm going to get a second opinion. And a second opinion is always good to get a second opinion. Once that opinion comes back and the diagnosis has been confirmed, then you are in a pain. That is one of the things that happen in grief. And then you get outright pissed off. You are mad. You're so mad. And often we pray and we ask God to heal that person, and that person doesn't heal. And we just get pissed off. Then sometimes we feel guilty. We feel guilty because maybe we should have done something, or maybe we should have said something. And, we allow ourselves to feel all of this guilt about that person dying. And then a lot of us will bargain with God. We'll say, oh, God, if you just heal my mother, if you heal my father, if you heal my brother, if you heal my sister, I will do this and I will do that. And once you realize that the bargaining doesn't work, then finally there is acceptance. Now, often, if you know that that person has a terminal illness, you really have time to prepare. But what about the times when that death is sudden and you really don't have time to prepare? You didn't get a chance to say goodbye. You didn't get a chance to say the things that you wanted to say to this person while they were living, because it happened suddenly. And often what I find with the sudden deaths versus those that are coming is the sudden deaths seems to, you grieve harder. And I can't put a weight on grief, because grief is grief. And a death, whether it be your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your cousin, your best friend, all affects you differently. I've had 5 brothers to transition, and each death affected me totally different. My oldest brother was the first brother that I lost, and his death really shook me up because he was the first one. Then I lost another brother, and another brother, and another brother, and another brother. I didn't realize how hard this would be, but each one affected me totally different, just like I'm sure the things that you go through when you've lost somebody that you love too has affected you different. And you can't put a price tag and say, oh, because it wasn't your mother, you need to feel different. Or, oh, because it wasn't your sister or your, people put labels on how you should feel. They act like because it's a mother's death versus your brother's death, you're supposed to handle it different. Death is death. It is a loss. It's a loss, and it's an emptiness that you feel, but even though it's a loss and it's an emptiness that you feel, you still have got to go on. You've got to find that power within you to continue to live, because first of all, you got to know that, number one, our divine creator makes no mistakes. And all of us, no matter how good we are, no matter how much money we have, whether we're a Muslim, Hindu, Christian, atheist, whatever, more, all of us are going down that road one day. And because death, which is nothing but a transition to me, I say a better life. Because those people aren't here worrying about the little petty things that goes on and all the trickery and the witchery that goes on in this world. And nobody has the right to tell you how to grieve or how long it should take. But the one thing I want to say to you today is, no matter who it is that you lost, whether it be your mother, your husband, your boyfriend, your lover, your sister, your child, your brother, your friend, your neighbor, your teacher, your counselor, whoever it is, you still have got to go on and live. You're here. They've transitioned. They are in a better space. And yes, we love them. Yes, we miss them. Yes, our heart pounds for them. Yes, we long to hug them again. Yes, we long to speak to them again. And I still speak to mine in the spirit. Because one thing about it, the spirit never, ever die. They can kill a lot of things, but they can't kill a spirit. Not when they figured it out. Tesla, Bill Gates. But anyway, getting back to living, when people transition, we've still got to live. And what you need to realize, the power comes from finding joy, from continuing to live, from being grateful that you were able to be a part of that person's life. And hopefully you shed some light and you brought them some joy and some laughter. And those are the things that we need to focus on. When the feelings come, and I promise you they will come, it doesn't matter how strong you are, and it has nothing to do with strength. We've got to allow those feelings to come. When they come, honor them. And they will come out of nowhere. You can be fine 1 minute and the next second something hits you. And sometimes it can take the wind out of you. Sometimes I think about my brother and I promise you, I just have to stop. Sometimes I think about my mother, and even though it's been 50 years, and I still have to stop. So when those moments come, Don't act so macho and, think you've got to hide it. Let it come. Let it come and go with it. But just know that there is power in being strong when someone transitions. And first of all, the person that you love, they would not want you to be here suffering. They don't want us to be sad, even though it's good to acknowledge our feelings. But you can't stop living. You can't give up. You got to keep on pushing, like the Impressions used to say. Curtis Mayfield, keep on pushing. And again, do it your way. Grieve your way. Honor your ancestors, because without them, you wouldn't be here. Give thanks for them. Stay busy, if nothing else. Find something to do to keep your mind occupied. Don't just sit and wallow. Don't just sit and think about, he gone, and repeat that stuff over and over and over. The reality is the person has transitioned. Now, what are you going to do? And like I said, everybody grieves differently. Find something you can do. And if you have to go to therapy, go to therapy. As a race of people, we really run from therapy. But I've been in therapy. And so go to therapy if you need therapy. Talk to people. Talk to yourself if you have to. Get a journal. Write it out. Write out how you feel. Write out your thoughts and feelings about missing that person.